Hello, hello, hello. I'm Andrea Stevens,
And I'm Jeanette Mejias, and we are Web's Women.
where exposure brings strength. I like to say
Yeah,
that. I like to say that all
I
like
know. You're like
in
all
that
like,
Demi Moore voice.
yeah, you like transform your voice.
I
Ooh
can't
la
help
la.
it. I can't help it.
So how are you, girl, on this lovely, fine Wednesday morning?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I feel, fun. Last
You,
week we talked BS. This week we're going to talk about whatever comes to mind, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, you look good. I love your
You
camo
too. You too.
gear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
very, very fitting for where you know, are coming from in the country
In the woods. I look like I'm
area.
hiding. I'm hiding in my
Yes.
forest.
You just need the, what do you call that? That stuff that you put under your eyes?
Camouflage paint.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
function today. What do you want from me? So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know. You want to talk about, let's talk about what's going on in the world now. I mean, I think, we're talking exposure, we're talking strength. So I guess, what's happening right now, the whole COVID crisis,
Hmm.
what's been going on in your world, what's been going on in my world, I guess. And,
Yeah.
where things stand at this point. I mean, everybody has their own, I think, um, I always say, do you, you know, whatever makes you feel comfortable these days is on you, right?
Right.
Um, so, before we started this podcast, everything came to a halt especially in New Jersey where we are,
Hmm.
and we're one of the first people that were on lockdown. At least I felt like I was on lockdown.
I have to tell you, I'm not really um, opposed to having these protocols in place. It's kind of nice to go and dine and not be at such full capacity. People are not on top of each other. There's a lot of, it's very sanitary. You feel like, you feel comfortable. At least I do. I don't go out and eat every week or dine out, but when I do, I feel comfortable. I'm glad to see that the restaurants have slowly opened up and it has opened the indoor dining portion, not at full capacity, but I'm happy for those business owners because I mean they're definitely taking a hit throughout all
Oh
this, and
yeah,
I
for
and I
sure.
want to support obviously the community and local businesses, but in the beginning I was very nervous along with everyone else, and but now I feel a little more at ease. I take I take the protocols and hand washing and sanitizing. I don't think I've ever scrubbed my house as much as I have in the past, ever since COVID came to life. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to be extra clean. And, but I think also in the summer, like right before summer ended, late August, we took a trip to Wildwood for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so different.
Yeah.
Like, it was everything again, clean. I felt safe. Safety was not a concern for me. It was just different.
Yeah. Well, there's less
Yeah,
people
it's just like everybody was just
around.
afraid, right? To look at you, to have eye contact with you. It was just pretty interesting, to say the
Yeah.
least.
I think a lot of people too, based on whatever their situation is or what they've experienced with COVID. I mean, I still have a cousin that is not doing well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, um, I don't know how long it will take for her, to recover.
Mm.
And it's, it's sad. It's sad,
Yeah.
it's young, and, and there's a lot of people I think that I know that have family that is either had it or has had people in their family succumb to it. And so for me, I knowing that, there are some immune system, issues in my family, I have no desire to be out around a bunch of people. I'll go outside. I'll be outside with some people. I'm fine outside. But I'm not hugging and kissing everybody I see and so happy to see you, because it's an air hug, and I'm happy to see people. It's nice to feel normal again when I do, but it's not very often, for my family. And is there a fear there? I don't, you know what? My fear isn't for me. My fear is for me, something happening to me and then my son not having his mother. That's the fear. The fear has nothing to do with me. I don't give a shit. Me. Whatever. I'll deal with me, but it's my son. Yeah. And that's in the end what I have to think about, especially with asthma in my family and everything else. It's not about me. It's not, and I don't think it's just a fear of, I don't think it's just a fear for my son having something happening to us and then my son being left alone. But I think too is if you look at people, nobody knows what happens. They see things on Facebook or they see things online, or they may know you personally, but they don't really know how you feel. And in the last 10 years, my family, we've lost 3 parents, 1 grandparent, a brother, an uncle, our dog, my aunt, who was only 53. So that's 8 people in 10 years that I've lost. And I don't really think that, I don't even want to hear that word again.
Right. That's understandable.
We've lost 2 dogs now that I think about it. We've lost, there's just too much loss, too much in 10 years and 3 parents, that's a lot. That's not, so for me, when you hear loss, it's just, there's no reason why risk it.
Absolutely.
So I think that's, and if you don't have that in your family, then you think a little bit differently. Right. If you didn't have those experiences, I think everybody has a different experience. Everybody has their own road they go down, and so when somebody looks at somebody else and says, well, you can't live in fear, but you don't know what fear is and what I've gone through in 10 years.
Right.
Right. In my 10 years, I've lived in all these different states. You know what I mean? I've lost 9 family members, in 10 years. And
that's a lot of family members to lose.
It's a lot of family members. It's a lot of moving your whole family around while your child is trying to grow up. It's a lot. So
it's emotional trauma as well.
It's emotional trauma. So for this, like, if somebody says to me, oh, why are you living in fear? Don't come at me. Don't come at me in fear. Because and that's where you don't know. I would never say that to someone. Never.
I think it's really important that people respect others' choices.
Yes, absolutely.
And say, you know what? Some people are going to choose to not go out, or they may choose to either get their groceries delivered, which is completely okay. Some people have different immune systems. Some people are more at risk, and people have to do what's best for them. And there are others who feel if I have a mask on and I, sanitize myself and I practice social distancing, I feel comfortable. So everybody has a different level of comfort.
Yeah.
And I think that
history.
Right. And I think if somebody doesn't want to do, say travel or whatever the case may be, that's their prerogative and that's their right, and I think you said it best.
Yeah.
You don't know what that person's, been through. You don't why they're taking these precautions.
Right. You don't know their journey. You don't know what, and I said, do you, I've been saying that for years. I said it before it was ever a hashtag, before hashtag was even a hashtag thing. And I said, do you, and I meant it because do you, when I said it to people, just you do you and I'll do me. And that's kind of how it initially started, because it was always like, this is one of those times that I'm like, if everybody just worries about themselves, stop getting into everybody else's business.
That's right.
And just worry about yourself and not really like judge when you don't know what goes on behind closed doors and you don't really know what's gone on with people and their families or their friends or,
right.
You just don't know. You don't know what their children have if they don't broadcast it all over the place.
Yeah,
You don't know what has gone on with their children. Do they have an illness? Were they born with something? You don't know.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's like, nowadays, all these autoimmune disorders, you don't even know someone, they don't even look like they had it. My dad had cancer, okay, for 6 years, lung cancer, stage 4. And everybody that looked at him said, you don't look like you have cancer. But what does cancer look like? I mean, he didn't have like yellowish, the skin,
I guess
but
he
he
didn't
had
appear
long,
sick enough to them,
right,
you know?
right. He had a ponytail, but who judges who has something going on inside? You don't know,
Right.
so
You
just
really don't.
let everybody be, let everybody do what they got to do, and
Yeah.
everybody has that comfort level of how they feel. And you just, and I feel like too, if you have family and friends, you can't really be upset with them.
No, you can't.
You can't. I mean, you either are going to be okay with their wishes. Like when I told my mother, please don't go anywhere for 5 days before you come here. you know, I
Yeah.
mean, like you have to kind of be okay so that,
Yeah.
that you want your family and everyone you're around to feel comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Absolutely.
and,
Absolutely.
and that's care and heart right there. And if you don't care, well, then how close really are you?
Yeah. Hey,
Which is another
listen.
thing with this COVID, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody sees different relationships that they thought were one way and they're not.
And we talked a little bit about that in one of our
Yeah.
episodes. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that I personally feel that this is something that's needed. We need a healing and cleanse in this world.
Yeah.
And it's given us an opportunity to really pause and reflect, even though we may have not been ready to do that. I mean, oftentimes people are very intentional and do great practices like meditation and affirmations, and I do them, but I'm not as diligent as I should be. But I love it. I think it's great. But oftentimes, I feel like there's a greater message, and there's something that needs to be learned, and for the world to be forced to
Yeah.
be listen here.
Slow down.
You need to slow down. You need to back it up. And guess what? I mean, now things are slowly like coming back to life, which is nice. But prior to that, everybody was on lock. That was it. You were not leaving your house. You were not allowed, And
Yeah.
I think that it gives, for me, like, I feel, and actually, our good friend Ruby had posted what was a great lesson in learning about all this in COVID. She posted on social media, right?
Yeah. And she said
Uh,
patience she said patience, I think.
yeah, and I was like, wow, I like that post so much because it really gave you food for thought and to really think about what am I learning through this?
Yeah.
And I think it's great if we can all just come from that place and look through those lenses and say, okay, instead of me getting in a complaint mode that I can't, or this is getting old, which I understand it does get old, but if you could just take a step back and say, okay, this is not forever. We're going to get through this. We got to do what we need to do. And it's a time for you to connect with yourself or whatever it is that you need to do personally so that when things do go back to the norm, and they will, I do believe that, then, you kind of just move forward in a different way. And I think it gives everyone a chance to do the things that you didn't maybe weren't afforded to do because we were moving so fast.
Yeah. I think too, people will end up seeing in the end that you come out of all of this a different person, a better person. People are reading more. People are, I mean, so at one end of the spectrum, people are judging and people are, are, you know, um, very one way or the other, and they're
Yeah.
and worried about everybody else, and their opinions are thrown at us. But on the other spectrum, it's hardly in the middle. It's either all one way or all the other.
And that's
You know,
always how it's going to
where
be,
it's, you come out of it learning, I should have, okay, I've the patience part. Um,
Oof.
That's
Yeah.
huge, and or losing your patience. I have lost it a few times. I mean,
Well, you know what? I
but
found that, when I take a look back before COVID hit us in March, I has put off quite a few things. I'm like, I'll get to that later.
mhm,
And later didn't come for me, and COVID's proved that.
mhm.
And now when things do go back, my biggest lesson is do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And I think that's something you've always, instilled and encouraged. I know that's your big message. Just whatever you want to do, just go for it. Don't think about it, just do it. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself living in regret. And that's one thing. I definitely know I have a lot of life left in my years, and I definitely am not living in regret. And I think that COVID has given me that chance to, live in the way that I want to live and pursue and not use, the arrows or the whatever barriers are going to come your way. It's a
Yeah.
part of life, right? I think have weathered many storms and I'm navigating another, but if I'm going to sit there and take a back seat and not live life because I'm navigating storms, then that doesn't make any kind of sense. I mean, that's never been my thing, but I have had a tendency of maybe taking a pause on things because I felt like I can't move forward unless I situate this. But it's all about the mindset, I feel. So I think, if
Yeah.
anything, this is, like you said, people are reading books more, conditioning mindset, doing whatever you need to do to give you that continued strength. So when this does pass, you kind of are armed for whatever's to come.
Yeah. You try to come out no matter what situation you're in, you
That's
try to
right.
come out better on the other side.
Got to.
I mean, that didn't just that, me saying, just do those things, just do it. Don't wait. That came from me learning during this COVID crisis. That wasn't, that didn't just come to me. It came to me because of this time, and because of what I've been doing with my businesses
Yep.
and with this podcast
Yeah.
and so that's where all of that kind of stirred up and came from. But I will say, you put out there that gratitude challenge, and
Yeah.
I, truthfully, that's where it all started for me. And if you didn't put that out there, I don't know if I would have done those 21 days. And that put me in a different mindset the whole 21 days. And I stuck to it, which is not like me. Usually I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And 2 days go by and I'm like, I don't have time. Um,
Yeah. I
but
like that
because,
because you had
yeah,
assignments and you had things that you kind of had to move forward in leading others. Yeah, I thought that was a really great
yeah, but
exercise.
if you didn't send that, I wouldn't be on this roller coaster ride that I'm on at this point. So thank
Yeah,
you for that.
you got
Really.
it. You're very welcome. And you know, I'm grateful for the person that put it out, which is Barb Klein. She's one of my mentors, phenomenal woman. At some point, I'd like to have her here as a guest. She has a lot to share. Powerful woman. I mean, talk about strength. I'm not going to get into her story, but she's written a book.
Mm,
She does retreats for women yearly. She's a pretty phenomenal woman. She's done some great stuff and continues to do so. So
that's
yeah, so she
fun.
was the one that invited me to that, and I thought, wow, I got to invite like everyone that I know can benefit from this. I'm so happy you said yes to the invitation, and look, and here we are,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, you know what? To keep that, I know, right? Here we are. To
Here we
keep that
are.
ball rolling with it, I shared it as well, because the buck can stop somewhere. When it stops, it stops.
Right.
And so I don't know if anybody shared it. I don't know if anyone shared it from when I put it out there. I didn't see anything,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I tried to put it out there and pass it on because it was so effective for me. So, I mean, it's out there. Anybody can grab it if they want to. So if you're listening and you want to know what it is, you can always email us. But
Yeah.
it started me down a path during this time that I wouldn't have gone down if we didn't have the pause.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so important. That pause, practicing the pause. And I was saying that pre-COVID, but I really wasn't as practicing the pause as much as I'd like to. And
I wasn't at all. I mean,
yeah, I just think that I think it's a good thing. I know it sounds crazy, I mean, I feel really bad for all these folks that, passed on from COVID. I mean, so many people have lost
yeah,
their lives to this awful thing. But at the same time, there's good things coming out of that. And so, you know, we just have to kind of just move forward and just stay, you know, stay in that promise of hope. If
yeah,
we sit there and, get in a complaint rant, and believe me, I've had my moments. I mean, I'll
yeah,
text my
yeah,
best friend and, I go on a rampage, but then I'm like, all right, I'm done.
yeah,
It's like, okay, I'm done. I just need to get that out of my system.
yeah,
And then I'm like, all right, I need to get myself back, you know, to where that finds me joy.
yeah,
And I think right now mental health is on the rise, especially here in our state. This is just really spiking up depression and all of that.
yeah,
And you as a person know when you're off, right? We all are very in tune with ourselves. And
yeah,
being transparent, I've had my, couple of weeks where I just had no motivation to do anything. It's just a chore to get up out of, to start my day, no matter how I try to, move into the day. It's just a struggle. It's hard. And I know, okay, I'm feeling all of this. I need to get myself out of it. Thankfully, I
mhm,
recognize the signs that I'm feeling when I'm kind of going on this like pattern. And I just was like, I need to find my joy. Instead of looking at all the things that I have to accomplish that could be very overwhelming,
mhm,
such as projects, whether it's house projects, work projects, you know, whatever other projects, I just said, you know what? I'm going to just quiet down that noise because focusing on so many multiple things is not serving me and it's making me more anxious. And it's inviting things that I don't want to invite. And I had to stop and say, what brings me joy? I had to sit and ask myself, I know what brings me joy. It's already fall. Fall came early, and I'm like, I love the season, to be honest. But what brings me joy is filling up my home, smelling nice, candles, bringing out the autumn, decorations, everything clean, everything has its place. It feels cozy, it feels good. And I'm like, that brings me joy. And in doing that, it just literally took me from 2 to like 10 immediately because I already created a nice ambiance and even the kids are like, oh wow, it smells so good here. It looks so nice. Like now I'm creating, it's a sanctuary, right? Our homes should be our
yeah,
sanctuary.
yeah.
And
Oh
since
yeah,
we're stuck
yeah,
in our homes more than we want
yeah,
to be, then why not make it like really like inviting and
yeah,
like nurturing? So that brought me joy, and I invite our audience to really start finding those joys, whatever that
yeah,
looks like. Could be taking a drive to nowhere and looking at the scenery. I mean, I enjoy driving to your house. So I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm in another state, even though I'm in New Jersey. But it's just so nice. So yeah, I think that
My
it's
house isn't
important.
that peaceful right now. I mean, your house sounds tranquil and not here. Here is the skeletons are out, the cackling of all these things going off for Halloween is happening. The dog's barking at all the new things, the puppy, because he has no idea what this shit is. It's
And
just
you
out
have
of control.
chickens and you have bears
I have
and deers.
and the rooster's going off and yeah. Yeah. But now I got the skeletons. So
Well,
yeah,
it's all good.
skeletons and fall.
It's all good. All good. Are we frozen? I think you froze on me, Andrea.
We had a pause there.
Oh, yes, I see that.
We had an internet pause for
There we
everyone that
go.
wants to
See?
try their pause.
We're talking about pause, and here we are. We're pausing. Yeah,
I
exactly.
hope my face wasn't like a pause.
No, you were like this.
Oh, I was listening.
You were like just focus zone, like
like I saw a skeleton or a ghost in my house.
yeah. I was like, what happened? Are we frozen? What's going on?
It's all right. Hey, listen, it's going to happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was everybody's turn. Time to take a pause.
Exactly. That's it. Oh man, it's always so good to chat with you, and
it's fun. It's always fun.
It is, man. It really is. So
yeah,
I'm excited for our guest. Yeah, I have our first guest coming up
next week. Yes, that's strength.
Talk about strength. Holy smokes. Yeah. So for our audience who's listening in, and not to get too much detail, but Andrea has a great friendship, an incredible woman, and she's on as our first guest next week. So we're really excited to have her on here, and there's no question that she's dynamic.
She is. She is. And talk about strength. That woman, finding your strength within. I think that this episode that we're talking about, today, talking about a lot of it is finding your strength within yourself. And it's
even through these times,
through these times, you have to try to find that strength inside, no matter what, because you're not going to get it. You got to cut that chatter out. You got to cut that negativity out. And you have to look inside yourself in order to get through this. And next week, when she talks about strength, her strength within her is something else. But what she's also giving is huge. So I can't wait to have her.
Me too.
I can't wait.
It's going to be awesome.
It is. It is.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out. And I want to thank our audience for listening in as well. And catch us next week.
And stay strong, stay safe.
And that's right. Stay strong and safe. And do you, as Andrea says, do what's best for you and your family.
Yes.
And just
worry about you. Take care of you.
That's right. Keep tapping into your strengths. So we are Webb's Women, where exposure brings strength. Yeah. All right, girl. We'll see you next week. You got it. Take care. You Bye. Too. Adios.